What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about some weapons that I think y'all should be bringing into the final shape with y'all based on their origin traits, actually, because I think that these are some of the best origin traits inside of the game currently. And with the final shape prismatic, I think some of them, like Indomitability, is going to be absolutely disgusting. So we got about 8 of those origin traits, as well as a couple exotics that I want to throw into the mix as well, because they got some nice, interesting, juicy buffs on them. So that'll be the final thing we cover. But let's get right into it, because we do got a lot of these origin traits to go over. So the first couple origin traits are raid origin traits like Souldrinker, but with Pantheon out inside of that first week, you can basically farm that first week and get the majority of the weapons that I cover with these origin traits that come from the raids. So first off, like I said, we got Souldrinker right here. This comes from the Vow of the Disciple weapons origin trait, gain health based on the number of hits before reloading. So it's going to be a good little way for us to get some of our health back when we are doing damage on enemies, not even getting final defeats. So it's almost like when we are using heal clip, if you will, but you don't have to reload at all. As for the weapons that this can roll on, we got the Deliverance, which is a kinetic stasis fusion rifle. We have an SMG in the submission, which is also in the kinetic slot. We got the Lubray's Ruin, which is a solar energy weapon, which is a glaive as well. The Forbearance, which is back in the brave weapons as well with the Indomitability perk. So Forbearance will be in 2 different fashions. The Forbearance right here is, of course, that wave frame arc grenade launcher. We got the Insidious pulse rifle, which is also arc, and then we also lastly have the Cataclysmic, which is a linear fusion rifle solar in our heavy slot. Definitely one of the best DPS with bait and switch, and then we do get that Souldrinker as well. So with, like I said, the Pantheon coming out with that nice 5 under light, very easy first week. You can get a good chunk of these weapons, or a Vow of the Disciple run isn't too bad, and these are some of the best weapons for sure, just overall. Next on our list comes from the good old Kuroda raid with Cursed Thrall. This is the origin trait after defeating targets with a melee attack. Final blows with this weapon cause a target to explode. This is for a short time. That explosion is pretty nice inside of the PvE realm for that ad clear potential, and with builds like on a Titan with a Bonk Hammer, on a Strand Titan with Banner of War, getting melee kills is super easy. So we have a bunch of different weapons that this rolls on, with the Eden's Alloy, which is that little prep to the Necrochasm. We have the Fang of Your Root, which is a kinetic scout rifle. The Swordbreaker, which is a strand shotgun in our kinetic slot. We got the Abyss Defiant, which is an auto rifle, easily one of my favorite auto rifles in the game for sure. Solar version energy weapon, like I said. We got the Word of Crota, a 180 hand cannon that is void, also has that Cursed Thrall. Oversoul Verdict, one of my favorite pulse rifles for PvP for sure, and it also slaps in PvE because of that perk with Cursed Thrall and some of our different melee builds that we have even on Hunter. And then finally the Song of Irut, one of my favorite weapons to do a good sustained damage when we got that LMG going. Plus with that explosions, it is very good at keeping ads at bay. Something like Onslaught, these weapons are nasty. That'll be in next season as well. Plus with those new dread enemies, this is going to be a very good origin trait and weapons to have. Next on our list for our raid origin traits, we have Harmonic Resonance, which comes from the Root of Nightmare. Equipping multiple weapons from this set grant the weapon increased reload and handling. It also deals increased damage versus Tormentors, Lucent Hive, and Guardians using their super. So I think the Tormentors are technically that new dread type of enemy. So hopefully this will even proc on some of those enemies going into the final shape, and the weapons are also super good. Like I said, these are all farmable within that pantheon, as well as just going in and doing the normal raids. Like I said, this comes from Root of Nightmares. Now, the weapons that it can come on is the Rufus's Fury, which is a strand auto rifle in the kinetic slot, Michael's Revenge, which is a kinetic sidearm, also strand. We have Nessa's Obligation right here, which is a void shotgun. We have Ashia's Dejection, which is a trace rifle in the solar version. We got Corax's Distress, a strand heavy grenade launcher, and then finally we got Briar's Contempt, another solar linear in the heavy slot. So all very good weapons as well. Definitely one of my go-tos for basically any encounters. Lastly, for our raid origin traits, we're going to have Bray Inheritance. This comes from the Deepstone Crypt. Dealing damage regenerates a small amount of ability energy, so it is similar to Indomitability, which we get defeats to get that energy back, but this is just dealing damage, so it is a sweet little bit of energy that we are getting for each of the hits. We do have 6 weapons that this can roll on. Like I said, all from Deepstone. It is in that week 1 of Pantheon, or just go through, get Atrax, easy 1 floor on them. But we have the Heritage Kinetic Shotgun, Slug, very good for that damage. Succession Sniper in the kinetic slot again. This is also a brave weapon, so that has some pretty good rolls on it as well with Indomitability, but we also have this version. We got the Posterity, which is a Void 180 hand cannon in our energy slot. The Trusty, a solar scout rifle in our energy. Commemoration is our power weapon with a Void LMG, and then last we have the Bequest, which is a arc sword for the power weapon. It is one of the best damage outputting swords with Surrounded on it, so definitely a good thing to have on. Plus, this gives you back the most amount of health with 2%. Next on our list, we have Land Tank, which is final blows with this weapon grant increased resilience and additional damage resistance from combatants. So this will definitely help us stay alive in that endgame content. And in the new raid story for the final shape, we have a 6 weapon rotation again for this, with the Peace of Mind in the kinetic slot. Pulse rifle, we have the Thoughtless sniper rifle in the kinetic slot. This is a stasis sniper. We have the Sweet Sorrow arc auto rifle in our energy slot. Under Your Skin Void bow in the energy slot. Explosive Personality, which is a waveframe grenade launcher. Solar burn for that energy. And then last we have the Recurrent Impact, which is a stasis LMG in the power section. So any of these, using it, you get that nice damage resistance, and Land Tank definitely feels very good inside of the PvE realm. Next on the list is maybe one of my favorite in general for PvE. PvP feels very good with these little Nanotech tracer rockets. Landing multiple hits turns your next shot into a homing micro rocket, so a good amount of weapons from Neo Muna can roll with this. First off, we got the Round Robin, which is a hand cannon 120 in the kinetic slot. Strand burn on it. The Voltea Bracket, which is a sniper rifle in a kinetic slot, which is actually strand. We have the Synchronic Roulette, which is a kinetic SMG, also in the strand burn. We have the Iterative Loop, which is a fusion rifle in the arc variety for our energy slot. We got the Philotactic Spiral, which is an energy pulse rifle with arc burn. The Baso Ostinato, which is an energy shotgun in the Void version. Dimensional Hypochondroid, which is easily one of the craziest names for a weapon, but this is a waveframe heavy grenade launcher, which is stasis burn. I do really like this thing, pairing it with stasis, and that got a huge buff for next season, so definitely suggest this one. And then finally we got Circular Logic, which is a strand LMG. These all come from Neo Muna activities, going through doing bounties with our boy as well, so it is a nice easy thing that you don't got to go into a raid for like our other ones before this. Next on our list, second to last, is Psychohack. Sustained damage from this weapon lowers the target's damage output, so it allows for us to do damage on those bosses, champions, and they do less damage to us, so that is a sweet little thing to have. I think these weapons will be nice to have for the final shape. Now, all of these weapons come from stuff like the Wellspring or just stuff on the Throne World activities. First off, we got the Fell Taradiddle. It is a kinetic bow, definitely one of my favorite bows for the kinetic slot. Next off, we got Empirical Evidence, which is a kinetic sidearm. Definitely have better ones like the Buzzard in my personal opinion. Next off, we got the Forensic Nightmare, which is a stasis kinetic SMG. Nothing too crazy about this with rolls, but the origin trait is very, very good. Come to Pass is an energy auto rifle with that arc burn, definitely up there with the Sweet Sorrow. We have Likely Suspect, which is a legendary energy fusion rifle with that nice void burn on it. We have a couple more with this perk in the origin trait. With the Pointed Inquirer is a scout rifle with void burn. Father Sin, which is a sniper rifle with void burn. The Tarnation, which is a grenade launcher with an arc burn. And then last but certainly not least on this, we have the Red Herring, which is a void rocket launcher. But all of those have the Psychohack on it, and it's definitely going to be one of the better origin traits in my opinion for the final shape. Last but not least, we have the Indomitability, which I think is going to be one of the best perks in general, just like Bray Inheritance. So we get weapon kills grant ability energy based on the subclass. So our light subclass is going to give us grenade energy, dark subclasses melee energy, but it is a juicy 5% for these defeats, so it allows us to get them back very, very quickly, unlike Bray Inheritance where it's a little bit of percent on each of those hits, which makes more sense. But still, this is going to be an insane origin perk to have on. And then of course it's on our brave weapons, so we got the Mountaintop, that kinetic grenade launcher, Midnight Coup, kinetic hand cannon, the Blast Furnace pulse rifle, which is also kinetic, Hung Jury, which is a kinetic scout rifle, an updated version of the Succession, an updated version of the Forbearance, both Deep Stone Crypt weapons. Succession is a kinetic sniper rifle, while the Forbearance is an arc energy weapon, a waveframe grenade launcher. We got the Luna's Howl back with that nice solar hand cannon, 140 on it. We got Elsie's rifle, which is basically a legendary version of No Time to Explain, void pulse rifle right there. The Recluse is back as well, which is a void burn, of course, in our energy slot. We got a Juicer Magooser for DPS with the Edge Transit. We got Envious Bait and Switch on this for a void grenade launcher. We got the Hammerhead also banging with a crazy combination of perks, void machine gun, and then finally we got the Falling Guillotine, the void sword. Also very interesting perks on this, double damage on stuff like the Hammerhead as well as Falling Guillotine with Indomitability. So all of these are going to be very, very good in the final shape. So lots that we just covered with those origin traits, but I do think that all of these are going to be very, very good weapons to have, or at least a variety of these, so you can take advantage of their origin traits. Now we are going to cover real quick here a couple exotics that I think are also going to be very, very good based on the buffs that they got. First off, we got the Necrochasm, the Symmetry, and then maybe Deterministic Chaos, as well as the Queen Baker's Bow. All got some pretty juicy buffs, changing things with volatility on that Deterministic Chaos, doing a little bit more damage with the Queen's Breaker. Symmetry is going to be absolutely nasty with Eddy Current, and then Necrochasm being able to get that Curse Thrall, that explosion, and that exotic perk to proc a little bit easier. Definitely going to be very juicy, especially with the buffs to certain types of weapons that we got as well. Auto rifles got 15%, which is kind of crazy, and scouts got a 20% across the board, so that is also one of the reasons why I picked those. Next off, DMT got a wild buff in my opinion, or they said it was a balancing of some of the things with the hip fire, the cone accuracy, things like that, but I think it might absolutely be broken in PvP, so y'all will have to let me know in the final shape how that thing actually goes. And then my boy is coming out of my vault. Used to use this all the time in PvP, made people upset, but the Bastion is coming back out with the ability to give us some juice in our melee damage, and then our melee be able to give the Bastion some extra damage, so it's going to play very well on that Strand Titan, on a Caliban Hunter with those throwing knives, even Shards of Galanor with some throwing knives. So I think that these weapons are going to be absolutely insane for those exotics that we got. It is a very interesting couple changes to all of those exotics, and then like I said, with the changes to some of the weapon types that are getting damage buffs, those pulses, sidearms, bows, scouts, and trace rifles are all getting 20% increase across the board. Auto rifles are getting a 15, SMGs and shotguns are getting 10, and then we go down a little bit with LMGs, swords, glaive projectiles, fusion snipers at 7, and then finally hand cannons and linears at 5%. So take that in mind, but very good changes, very good origin perks. Definitely think everybody should grab these if y'all can from the various activities. Pantheon at -5 light is not too hard at all, and it rewards a bunch of those weapons that we talked about with those raid origin traits. So again, appreciate all y'all for coming back to the channel. I appreciate that support. Like always, y'all have been killing it. So again, I appreciate you guys so much. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel a bunch, as well as slap that bell so you don't miss out on any of this content right here going into the future with the final shape. Got lots to do. So I appreciate you guys again. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.